What's up, Power Painter? This is Taylor Payton of tapeart.com and powerpainters.org coming to you today with another Power Painters video. But first, can we talk about that intro for a second? My goodness. Man, so for the past 2 weeks, my good friend Matt Oberdahlhoff and I, whom I met in college, we put together this intro animation for the channel because he's looking to expand his demo reel, and I'm looking for somebody who can bring life to some of my assets or graphics, and he was able to do that wonderfully, and I am super stoked to have a new intro for the channel. It even has like a background transparency, so I'm really excited about that. I mean, the next step is to get a better video camera because let's face it, the laptop camera sucks, and I know it sucks, guys. You want to see this countenance in whatever 4K or whatever it is. I am so not a video dude, but I will probably try and get better at it as we go on. But let's talk about today's tutorial. This tutorial is basically going to be more of a lecture as opposed to a demonstration. So I'm going to talk a little bit about something that is very important to me, and I've only started to implement it as of late, I feel, in a very cohesive way. And I like to call that making your own taste. But there are some other kind of, I guess you could call them corollary topics that will allow you to kind of start forming these new mental models and have new ideas and approaches in regards to your art and connecting with it on a deeper level and just finding out more about who you are as an artist, because I'm really a big proponent of that. I want this channel to be about helping you find out and ask yourself the right questions in terms of where you're going to take your creative prowess. So let's hop into Photoshop so I have some visual examples to kind of accompany me as I explain some of these concepts. Alright, so first and foremost, because it is the topic of the video, we'll talk a little bit about making your own taste. Taste making is basically really being aware of what connects to you as far as your life experience goes. This could be movies, it could be games, it could be other artists, which we have to be a little careful of, but we'll get to that later. That's the artistic incest portion of this video. But what it is we're going to be doing is just taking stock of what it is that fills our creative well so that it doesn't go dry and we stop doing what we're doing, because the way to get better is to stay consistent and to advance and to draw upon things in a way that is honest and deeply connective. Because if you can link up to these things that caused you to want to draw in the first place, or take other items and elements from your life experience and transpose them into your art, then people will also have an easier time connecting to it because of that honesty. So let's just like take a visual example of something, and I'm going to use an artist or a couple artists that I connect to deeply because it will allow me to like enunciate better the sort of taste making concepts that I'm talking about. So on the left here, these three pieces are from John Singer Sargent, who was a realist painter from the 1800s and early 1900s. So he was a phenomenal virtuoso of oil painting and also watercolor and the media of the time. And typically he did a lot of portraits. He is most well known for his portraits, although he has other formats of art. But the basic thing that I'm getting at here is that when I look at these, I have an emotional response. And that is the first indicator. It's like a feeling in your solar plexus, in your sternum. Maybe you get like a slight buzz in your eyes. You have to be very bodily aware because that's what you're using to connect to these things. Basically, when I look at something like this and I squint at it and I see the way that the form falls off and how the edges were treated and the gorgeous amount of color nuance and how everything seems to have a purpose and a place, I start to have a an idea that this is my taste. This is something that I want to take bits of and elements of and implement back into my own work, not in a way that specifically tries to be John Singer Sargent per se, but takes what he has pioneered and transposes it into my own works. Now, that is just, there's a million and one ways to do that, literally, but a good way to start is just to study it and, write down questions as to why you wouldn't enjoy something so deeply like this. Like, this is a portrait of his three sisters, and I could come up with any number of questions, and maybe writing them down is a good idea if that's how you learn. Like, well, what is it about this that captivates me? How is it that this makes me want to go and paint for 40 hours, right? Because you need to have that creative well full in order for you to draw from it. Otherwise, you burn out and you don't want to continue, and your art will look uninspired because you feel uninspired. So, for those of us who are not as in touch with what it is we feel, and we wonder why we're failing in our art or we're not having an easy time, it's because in most cases, you are not connecting it back to your tastes. And that means that you're off track. It's like trying to ride a bike that's too big for you, or just doing things that aren't actually what got you started or aren't what give you fuel to move forward. So, like I said, I could ask myself any number of questions about a piece like this, and all of them would inform and re-inspire me. So a couple example questions could be, what is it about the composition that is so captivating? Or how does he treat his edges in terms of, switching the the value to turn the form? So if this was, say, a 3 on the value scale, and it's halfway saturated, and then we turn all the way up to a 6. So I know that he's using, a jump of about 3 values, and so I have technical information that I can take back into my own artwork. And it's so broad that I'm not copying this arm exactly, or I'm not copying how he paints. I'm just taking these various artistic principles and transferring them into my own stuff, if that makes any sense. So basically, we're taking these broad fundamental concepts and using them and learning how the masters use them. Here's a piece by Pyongjun Park, and he is a Korean artist who does work for Legend of the Cryptids and such. And you can see he has his own wonderful style of painting and color nuance and turning of form. And he treats edges differently than Sargent, but you can see that they both have a masterly grasp of how to paint based on how they're going to, shift form from the shadows, which on this particular material is a 1, all the way up to like a more in the light surface, which only hops up about a value and a half. So all these things are basically making my taste when it comes to painting, and that's sort of what I'm capitulating here over and over, is that when you look at art that inspires you, you can take information from it, like taking a certain scale that a musician uses, and because you like the sound of it, putting it into one of your own compositions. That's honesty and connectivity. So you're being honest about what inspires you, and you're connecting to it by using fundamental artistic principles that allow you to transpose those ideas back to your work. I mean, you can distill it down to a feeling, but if you want similar effects, you'll have to kind of know how to break things like this down visually, which I go into in things like the beginner drawing course. Next, let's talk a little bit about artistic incest, and then we'll wrap up the video. So artistic incest is essentially being too close to the source material. If something inspires you so deeply, the first initial urge is to copy it. Like, I don't know how some of you got started doing art, but when I was initially doing art in like third grade, everybody was copying anime, like literally printing pictures off their computer on dial-up internet and just copying Dragon Ball Z or Gundam Wing, stuff like that, and we just draw the same picture over but worse. And that's what artistic incest is it's just taking what had come before and not elaborating upon it, really, just sort of taking the shell or the husk and not really creating anything new or remixed, but something that has, it's like too close to the source material, so we don't really have any reason for its existence. It has to come from you, which comes back to honesty and connectivity. So you have to take artists and things that inspire you and connect to them honestly, and avoid artistic incest by connecting to them too closely and not actually doing anything with them that is reflective of you and fresh and interesting and justifying of their existence. So, an example of this would be a short project that I've started called Strategis. Now, Strategis is hearkening for me back to a time where I played Final Fantasy Tactics, which is here on the left. And a lot of the art of Final Fantasy Tactics was created by an artist called Akihiko Yoshida. And Akihiko Yoshida is one of my top 10, I mean, probably top 5 favorite artists simply because he has amazing mark making and his design sense is just out of this world to me. So when I think about what I want to do with my sort of intellectual property, Strategis, I ask myself questions about why he made these design choices. I don't try to rip off his style. I just try to take some of the classes on the broadest possible concepts and bring them back over to what it is I'm doing. I mean, there's obviously specific nods to things that he's done or that the series has done, like the White Mage of Final Fantasy and this class here that I've created, but it's different enough in order to justify its existence. Main point being that it's okay to stand on the shoulders of giants and to give sort of an homage to what it is you love, as long as you're not like trying to get haughty and claim ownership in weird ways or what have you. So, with that, I suppose we've covered all of our topics in regards to taste making, honesty and connectivity, and finally avoiding getting too close to the source material via artistic incest. So, that's about what I have for you today. Let's hop out of Photoshop quickly and do a little bit of wrap up material, and we will then call it for this video. Alright, so thanks for watching this video. I hope that it was at least insightful. I'm not saying that whatever I say goes or what have you. This is just stuff I've been thinking about and rolling around as far as my own creative faculties go, and I wanted to share it with you because it's allowing me to create stuff that I previously was unable to achieve, I feel. So it's something that allows you to have more depth as opposed to just breadth. As for a couple wrap ups, I want to talk about the intro once again because it's so freaking rad. And I want to let you know that if you want your own intros, you can find Matt Oberdahlhof's contact info in the description box below. If you're interested in acquiring the beginner drawing course, that's also in the description box below, as it will allow you to better express some of the technical elements I talked about in this video. Pretty much everything as far as source material that I use for this video is going to be in the description box in some way, shape, or form, like a link to Akiko Yoshida's work, as well as Pyongjun Park and John Singer Sargent, just so you guys can find that awesomeness and gaze upon it and cry a little bit like I do. One last thing I do want to say is you don't want to make gods out of men or women in terms of like idolizing an artist or doing idol worship, because it's not going to help you ascend if you just put them on that sort of pedestal. You have to be able to realize that these are people too, and as awesome as they are, you can do it if you work hard and maneuver to your own unique autonomy and don't try and replicate what they're doing, but rather just take those bits and pieces that inspire you and transpose those into what it is you are doing. So thanks again for watching. Once again, check the description box for all the goodies and that kind of stuff. And I will see you guys on Thursday with another new video. Let me know in the comment box below what it is that inspires you and how you move forward with creating your own stuff or ideas you want to express. Thanks for watching, Power Painters, and I will see you in future videos. Happy creating.